Absolutely. I do like this. I mean, we know they needed some kind of real pos 1 in the mid lane here, and I do appreciate OB.Neon actually trusting Mamang Daya to carry them through this game as well. Like, you wouldn't assume this early on with this new roster, they just literally throw Mamang Daya into such a... I mean, I guess pos 2 is still a very, very high impact role, but you kind of get my point. Not so easy to run the pos 1 in the mid lane, but that's what they've given him quite a few times now, and it's working out very nicely. And going back to OB.Neon for a second, John, I had a shower thought today. First iteration of OB.Neon, they found Yopaj, they found Skem. I mean, Skem was there from a while back, but, you know, he really started to perform extremely well during OB.Neon. Now they've got Mamang Daya UK joining the team, and I feel like we're seeing a very similar kind of chemistry between these two. We saw them during AG, and we always thought these two were just magnificent in the way they played. In fact, the whole of Army Geniuses were. So OB.Neon, they're kind of... I'm almost treating them like that team that always finds the new fresh talent that's going to be a big name later on. You know, assuming they put in the work. But, I mean, as you saw from Boom Esports just then, I mean, the Idol, John, he was doing some things that you don't see very often. So, OB.Neon, I mean, they've got an eye for talent, apparently.
Yeah. It's reminiscent of, like, Puppy, right? Like, Puppy with Secret always finds these hidden players early on in their career, leverages them up, and they learn a lot. So I think Neon's starting to become that training ground. We'll see if it carries through for Mamang Daya in UK, but so far looking great from AG into here, as you mentioned. Last picks coming through for both sides, so Polaris lacking that Natsumi hero. Not many options left. I think Illusion's heroes would have been really good to overwhelm the TA. You kind of want to have a strong win condition because the Leshrac is not going to scale. Neither is the Centaur all that well. So you kind of want something that just keeps farming and building up. Lifestealer could be an option against a Tidehunter. Could kind of lane well, but they banned it out themselves early on. So not going to have that option. There is a Jug if you just want to kind of play a mid-game tempo and overwhelm from there. But they go with a Razor instead. So Razor, great against Titan lane. Static Link to just soak up damage. Right-click away. Really good with dealing with the TA as well. So even though you can't burst down the TA, you can take away a lot of her damage and just overwhelm her as the game goes on. Especially once you hit your refresh timing. Double Static Link on 2 melee heroes here from Neon. Doom and Tide going to be really easy targets for that, along with a double Static Storm, or the Eye of the Storm, and having the Ags upgrade down the line. There's a ton of push for Polaris as well.
Certainly is, John. This is a very scary draft to try and play into. It's one of those timing drafts, right? Like, if you don't spike and hit that timing, draft, generally speaking, is going to fall apart here for Polaris. If you hit that mid-game timing, though, there's not really stopping this draft. It's very, very aggressive. I just noticed, though, Grimstroke is not banned for OB.Neon. They have Doom.
Yep.
I think pos 4 Lion, pos 5 Grimstroke is really good here. And that's one of those things as well. Palos in the pos 1 Doom, he is going to have to make a bit of space here. I don't think it's going to be as easy as TA goes to the jungle for 10 minutes and comes out 6-slot of this game. I think, though, if you have the threat of double Doom against Polaris, they're going to really second guess whether they can go up to that high ground in the triangle and get the job done. I think you just take it. Just shove the line in the pos 4 roll. Just take the pos 5 Grimstroke, or even the other way around. Because the thing is, you lose a couple team fights around the 15 to 20 minute mark. Again, Polaris, their draft will fall apart. No doubt about that. So we'll see if they do go for the Grim. I think it looks really good here. What other supports would you like to see? Unless it's like a Tide support, but maybe you go down that route because he's against Razor, but I don't think it's necessary. I think Enryu will be just fine. Oh, all right, they'll go Prophet. Fair enough. Support Prophet, core Prophet. We'll find out very soon.
Pos 1, maybe a pos 1 Prophet off lane Doom and support Tide could be the way to go, because when you have the Razor versus Doom, the Doom can still just farm up, get the Devour off, and run from there. OB.Neon not picking their heroes yet. So still figuring out the draft. We see Polaris, of course, just going for the standard Razor safe lane, Leshrac mid. We've got Force and the Centaur. And, you know, they've got their lanes lined up. They will still stick to the Doom for Palace, and they will run the Tide support. Enryu taking the Nature's Prophet off lane. Okay. So Tide 5, likely line 4, as we do see Narman take the line. Tide Doom lane on safe lane up against the Centaur Snap. It's not a very easy lane. You are two very tanky heroes, but there's minus armor in the Snap. There's double stun with a Cookie and a Hoof Stomp down the line for the Scent.
Yeah.
And although you can kind of zone them out with a Tide, it's not really what you want to do because you shove out the wave for Doom. So I think Polaris will still have a good time in lanes. And overall, I think Polaris did come out with a stronger draft. Like, you will be concerned of the TA. There's some early rotations OB.Neon can get out with Nature's Prophet, but the push timings, the power spikes lined up for Polaris, they're engage and disengage with a Centaur Stampede as well, allowing the Razor to just keep static link up. It's a lot to play against for OB.Neon in the first 15 minutes here.
Ironically enough, I believe we saw this from Polaris yesterday, John, the Nature's Prophet offlane, and I suppose one big thing about this hero is the fact that you are going to be able to consistently split push at least one of the lanes on this Prophet. And I think maybe that's the idea, is they probably already know Polaris, they are running a timing draft. If you could just keep all the lanes pushed out, that is going to buy the space for Mamang Daya to farm the jungle. And from that point on, as long as you can get through the initial storm, you should be able to carry through with this kind of draft that OB.Neon do have. But we'll see how it all pans out. Game number 1 of this best of 3. One of these teams has to go home. The next will go through to the lower bracket final. Should be a very interesting matchup. And of course, we do have the immediate 5-man smoke here from the side of Polaris. See what kind of wards they can get going. Naturally, you do expect the small camp of the mid lane of OB.Neon to be warded up, so you can't just farm the small camp as the TA. See if they do manage to get that down, though. I mean, Mavis, he has got the sentry ready. Lelouch, drop a quick observer ward onto the high ground, and well, it won't be spotted. Smoke was not broken.
Yep, they're going to be just safe, so they're just securing good time. They'll be able to spot out when the TA does go to farm up. I think that's just going to allow them to rotate for the power runes as well, which is pivotal for the Leshrac versus TA. Now, rune control is something we've talked about a lot for teams. I think Polaris and Neon are the two teams that really emphasize that with support movement. So we'll have to see if this is enough to give Polaris that bit of edge in that mid to just build up. They even dropped that early ward deep in the jungle to watch the stacks, watch the build up, prevent the Doom and TA from having a good jungle to clear out later on.
I do appreciate that. UK pretty far forward on the Tide. Lelouch going to be able to land the stun out. Natsumi does have the static links. They'll go for a bit of a chase down to the Cookie. No, the Earth Spike onto 3, but UK is still dropping low. It won't matter though. Natsumi, he won't go onto the high ground. In fact, these body blocks with the trees doing a lot of damage back the way of Natsumi. Enryu and Nama just still going as another Earth Spike. Gonna land on 2 heroes and Natsumi. He will barely get out with his life intact.
Man, the micro coming out from Enryu just making so much work happen there for the side of OB.Neon. And now Natsumi had to down 1 salve, which means you're going to be lacking some region there on Mavis. He's going to be able to fly some out down the line. Not good news for the side of Polaris. OB.Neon already forcing out that pause 1, looking like they will go for a lane swap. Palace is going to show bot. He is going to be hanging around with Narman. Only Mavis showing up in this lane so far. So 1 wave gone for Natsumi as he walks top and then walks bot. So he does look like he wants that Doom lane to play with the static link. But at an EXP deficit, this rides through the roughest part for Doom. He hits level 2 a bit faster. He's going to have Scorched Earth. He's going to be a bit safer in trying to run away here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you've got the escape plan now for Palos. I mean, he's not level 2 yet, but he's very, very close at this point. We'll have a look at the other lanes as well. Mid lane, Mamang Daya against Lelouch. Split Earth. Not going to come out yet. Mamang Daya getting very close and personal here with the Leshrac, but it's going to be just fine to walk away with the refraction. Do you favor either side in this mid lane matchup, John?
I think the initial levels are Leshrac favored for sure. It takes quite a few points in a refraction to start feeling tanky with the instance protection. I think the Leshrac, even then, once you get the edict up, you can still melt the TA if she's out of position. So Mamang Daya is going to have to work this lane a lot harder, whereas it's easier for Lelouch to clear out the wave, keep building up. You can already see that. Mamang Daya, he needs level 4 or level 5 to really feel stable in the lane. Going for a 2-0-2 build into 2-0-3 or 3-0-2 is when you stabilize, have a little bit more range like that.
Natsumi, he does achieve first blood. They did rotate Enryu in very early on in this Prophet to try and shut down this Razor. Natsumi, he's going to keep trying to get out of this. Mavis healing him up. There is a very fire out. Natsumi, he is going to be just fine as now Palos and Enryu in a bit of an awkward scenario. As they've rotated the Prophet down, he can TP back up. In fact, they might just shift Palos to the top lane now. He'll go for a walk.
Yeah. Just trying to give themselves the presence they need. They don't want to have to give an overwhelming start to Natsumi. It's just such an easy time, and you've got static link targets. So now they're going to run the dual ranged lane with the NP and the line. So you're not going to have too much free time for Natsumi now, but he's gotten what he wants from lane. He hits level 3, level 2 static link up, and he has the boots up. So even if you're ranged, you can run up, get the slow off for the plasma field, and still get a lot of damage going your way here.
Currently, you're seeing live footage of an SEA pub where Doom is not happy, just walking around the map, taking jungle creeps. Giving me PTSD right now. John, as UK top lane is suffering on the +5, not sure what to do with himself, and eventually will die. Force able to take the kill on the Centaur. Palos will eventually get there, holding the TP just in case we see a rotation back up top with Natsumi. I do feel like Natsumi might just accept the bot lane for himself now, and Palos should be just fine at top. The Cookie is there. They're going to jump right on him. Palos, he's at an XP disadvantage, so the amount of damage right now is just going to be insane. And the whole walk up to the top lane is for nothing, as he's going to have to TP back into the top lane anyway.
Well, it's not for nothing. At least he can TP back, Mike. If he TP'd up and died, he'd have to walk back. So
yeah, but
maybe
Natsumi can TP now.
Yep. He's free to do so. I don't think Natsumi's leaving, though. Again, he's got the levels up in the Razor. He's got boots. You don't care for the range now. You've got the speed. And every time you have Plasma Field, enough mana for the field and the Link, that slow is enough to get a lot of damage on the static Link, because we've seen Enry already shoved back earlier on. So I think Polaris setting themselves up well with the lanes. OB.Neon with a +5 Tide and +1 Doom. It's just, again, it's a very durable lane on paper. 2 strength heroes up front, a lot of HP to have to rip through. But it's a Centaur and a Snap. There's some good minus armor there, double stuns. I think for the most part, Force is just going to have a good time here. He's already up there in CS. And Palos is just going to have to play the slow game, play with Devour, work towards the Midas, and hope that the rest of the team can buy him that space to grow big.
Oh, absolutely. Back to the mid lane, Lelouch still having a very nice time on the Leshrac. Mamang Daya is keeping up, but is still going to be somewhat behind. Don't forget, it's all about the jungle, right? Like, you've got to find those stacks being made for either team. Both have the potential to take them away from each other. So I think getting the small XP advantage and even the net worth advantage is very, very important in this laning phase. This bot lane, Enryu is going to drop as Natsumi able to secure the kill on the Prophet. It does go back to what you said, John. He's got brown boots now, so the Prophet not going to be quite as safe as he used to be.
No, it's still a tough time. Like, even with the tree in play, Razor's one of the few heroes that enjoys that. He has great wave clear with a plasma field, and you can see Natsumi going for a 2-2-0 build, emphasizing that wave clear, emphasizing the early damage. Mavis doing a great job of just zoning out as well. They don't have enough damage to burst through the heal and the shield. Mavis is just being a complete nuisance every single time the line's gone. Enryu just gets zapped down. No damage. Can't CS, has to rely on the treants, and every single time he micros that in, Natsumi just gets free gold.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 10 damage, John, let's be fair. 10 base damage, not the highest in the world, but might be able to get something done as he does move in, and there's your 10 base damage. Just does nothing. As Enryu literally tickles Natsumi there for a second. Natsumi will appreciate the laughter and just back off again. So he is quite low on mana now on the Razor, so not too much he can get done. Suppose you could just go for the early Darken Blade build up on this Razor, and I think that would be quite suitable here for Natsumi, but for now, all he has queued up is the raindrops, and, well, quite frankly, even if he is finding the kills onto the Nature's Prophet, he's not getting the best CS. It is still a Prophet he's against, so the deny potential is going to be quite high.
Yeah, that's the one saving grace for OB.Neon. They're not finding the aggression they want from the lanes, but their slow game's actually going well. CS is still good across the board for their cores, despite the slower start. Only really Paulus lagging behind in a big way, but that's a Doom. He has Devour. He's eventually going to get Midas and get farm, so you don't mind that at all. The big thing for Neon right now is, with all the attention on the side lanes, Mamang Daya is farming up, although are pressuring Natsumi, but again, with the Abaddon around, they've got good dispels and deal. They don't have the burst to deal with it. But Mamang Daya will be an issue. He has free reign for the jungle and is building up at a good pace.
Absolutely. Top lane, though. Jump is there onto Force. He was trying to go onto Palos, but ends up underneath the tier 1 tower as Enryu and UK have rotated to try and make sure they get this kill. It's going to be a big rotation out for the Centaur, and it's taking a hell of a long time. In fact, Force, he's going to try and juke them out. The Treants are following him down. He does have a TP, though. Palos is going to find him in the end. Force, he'll finally go down, but that's a lot of commitment for this offlane Centaur.
It's a ton of space. Look at the rest of the map here. Lelouch spotting the stacks of Mamangdaya. They're going to contest it, and there's no heroes to back up Mamangdaya. He was the one hero having a good time in lane. Now he's losing all of his splash farm.
Boy, that is a lot of farm to go the way of Lelouch as now. Cookie not going to be on the mark, but the Split Earth is going to connect, and Mamangdaya, he'll lose his creeps and his life. This is what we talked about literally 2 minutes ago, John. You've got to watch out for these jungle stacks, and Lelouch, he sees 4 heroes up top, says, thank you very much, I'll go into your Dire Triangle and just take all the stacks.
And it's just down to these item timings that Forrest had. He has Vanguard up. It took them so long to kill that Scent because he's got that early protection from the damage. And now OB.Neon, they're running out of tools to play early. In fact, Palos just dies solo.
Goodness. Force just finding a solo pick-off onto the Doom Pos 1. I'll tell you, John, I don't think there's a worse way this game 1 could have started for OB.Neon. I mean, maybe Polaris just doing their homework from yesterday and reading this draft very well. They have really shut them down quite heavily this first 8 minutes. Of course, it is a matter of whether they can keep this aggression up, but for now, they're just doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, they've gotten the early objectives with the Lesh up top. They've managed to win out basically every lane. You could argue mid was a little bit better for Mamangdaya, but he's lagging behind now. And that early momentum we were looking from Polaris' draft is online. Like, if they keep taking these objectives and no defense comes out from Neon, it's going to be rough for them to find that space to farm on a Doom and a TA. These heroes need some initial items to have presence.
Neon, I mean, I gotta say, they look a little bit lost right now. Like, UK, he's rotated down bot at level 4. He's lost the tier 1 top tower so early that he can't play that area anymore, even as a Tide. Mid lane's just kind of been left alone, so Xavius is going to take it himself on the Snapfire. And in the meantime, well, they're going to find the Centaur. So Palos, he does give it the tomb and does get the little bit of a revenge kill there onto the Cent. UK will give the tip over to Palos, so they do get something done. I feel like the damage has been done, but the game's not anywhere near over yet.
Yeah, I mean, Palos is going to hit that Midas timing soon. That's when you can feel a bit more comfy in your scaling and how you work the map. And they are starting to buy some more space for Mamangdaya. Besides that one death, he's been fine, and they're just kind of tagging the supports now, forcing Mavis back. Still not enough damage for him to work through that. Oh.
Yeah, never mind, John. Palos is going to drop again top lane. Lelouch now just fully online. In fact, never mind that, because bot lane Natsumi finds UK. And this is that big timing for Lesh. He's got the boot to travel up. You can't outrun him. He's going to be all over the map, just taking all the jungle. And in fact, he's going to run right into Mamangdaya. Not going to make the dive in, though, because the Dire tier 1 is still standing. But I dare say not for very long, because you do have that Diabolic Edict at max level.
You've got the Edict and return damage. The old Centaur push is still in play. Gonna force a response here from Neon, but they don't have levels on the supports to fight back here.
Narman's gone. Mortimer's Kisses are going to be enough. Back into that tier 1 they go. Palos, he's going to show up. This is such a disastrous moment for OB.Neon. They're going to lose their jungle. And quite frankly, there was nothing they could do about it.
Yeah, they just don't have the levels. Like, for a Tide support, you need Ravage up. UK just hits level 5 at the 10-minute mark. Without that Ravage, you're lacking big teamfight initiation until maybe Blink Online, but that's also miles away here for Narman. So the timings aren't lining up. Polaris leveraging their early spikes with these heroes, and if they keep these jungles choked out, if Neon don't manage to find a push on bot and mid to counteract that, you're going to be starving out in Mamangdaya. He does have the blink up on the TA, so he's a bit more mobile, a bit harder to catch out, but he will need some more jungle space to get that Deso and the BKB timing out. In fact, I think you could get away with just the BKB first if you wanted to be aggressive, because you do have minus armor coming through from the Tide, so you can still get some good damage off. I think you need some protection early on. We'll see which way Mamangdaya goes, but it looks like he will commit for the Deso first. Polaris not going to mind. They're really tanky with a Centaur up front, and they're also getting really good items flowing through here for Natsumi and for Lelouch. No troubles at all here for Polaris yet.
Well, they might find Xavius. Bot lane, Earth Spike is going to land, and now with a big surround out. No, not quite. Xavius! He's going to survive the finger. He's running. He's fine.
Oh, no.
They can't kill him. They don't have the Nature's Wrath either to try and snipe him with the ulti. Oh, boy.
Yeah, you know, that was down to the medallion on Xavius. He had enough armor to last through the right clicks of Enryu and of Norman. There's no Blightstone in Enryu. So there's no way for them to rip through his added durability and just gets to walk away. That's such a terrible feeling for a Lion. You know, you hit 6, Mike, you go for the finger play, you don't get the kill. It's a long cooldown at level 1. That's going to set the tempo for OB.Neon. They have to wait for that finger for burst. They do have Ravage and Doom up at the least, so they could maybe look to make a play. But right now, they're just satisfied getting some space to breathe, space to farm. And that is still worrying, because Polaris, they've got a 2k lead, they're working every lane, and they're buying space for Lelouch. He's rushing into his Kaya into the Bloodstone, and that's going to be a lot of forward presence for him once that's up and running.
Xavier's trying to find more here on the Snapfire now. Chasing down Palos on that Pos 1 Doom. Palos doing his best to catch up with that Midas Devour. Props to Mamang Daya, by the way. He's still keeping up in net worth, considering how bad of a game they've had so far. And I know this is one of the strengths of the TA, but it does feel like Polaris still have the ability to just kind of run them down right now. They're kind of holding out, being a little bit more conservative on Polaris, and that might cost them later on. So you don't want to give the TA a free jungle when you've got these T1 towers down so early, but that's exactly what they're getting.
We just managed to weave around where Polaris is playing, finding some open spots to keep farming up, keep catching up. Mamang Daya halfway through that Desolator, so damage output of the TA is going to skyrocket shortly. And I think for Polaris, as you said, Mike, they need to get some aggression out. Maybe push a tier 2 early on, maybe get the jump in. They've got that blink on Force, and they've got the Stampede up.
Yeah, that they do. They're going to Stampede through the bot lane, but Narman, he's there with the Earth Spike. He'll happily give his life away for Palos. Giga Chad Narman is what they call him, John. It's Natsumi, he'll take the kill, but OB.Neon, they'll be happy with that.
Yeah, they've managed to waste the Stampede there as well on Polaris. A big repositioning skill for Polaris to set these ganks. They will smoke up, though. Still on the hunt. Not going to find a big core, but UK is still a nice pick-off if they can find it.
Well, they might. He's got Ravage, but obviously does not really want to pop it right now. Will just accept his own death. Another nice kill there for Natsumi. The only gripe I have with this for Polaris is they're not finding the big cores. And again, you still have Mamang Daya farming on the TA. I realize that you still have Lelouch ahead of him on the Leshrac. But when you compare cores and you think about that later game timing, I would put my money on the TA every single day of the week.
Yeah, just has better scaling to late game. Damage doesn't get irrelevant for the TA. Of course, the Leshrac has a bit of a late game window. When BKBs are down to 6 seconds, it actually feels pretty strong. We've seen that late game Leshrac actually have some presence, but that's way down the line. I think the TA is going to overwhelm you by mid-game. Still, Neon, they've smoked up themselves. They've got the Ravage, they've got the Doom. They do not have the best wards forward to spot to get rotations out. So they're not going to find anyone in the triangle, but they might be able to at least get some forward vision now, maybe set up for a tier 1 push, or at least protect themselves from the Rosh and any rotations out. But they're also missing out on opportunity, so very defensive from both sides, playing safe, sticking together, not giving too many openings to either side. This is still beneficial towards Neon as Mamang Daya keeps farming up here.
Yeah, are you surprised by this, John? They're all at the bot lane right now as 5. And that bot T1 tower, it's not that valuable. They might want to open another way into that dire triangle, but considering the lead you had, sticking as 5 at the moment, it seems a little bit detrimental for Polaris. They are going to move into that tier 1 now, and again, that is going to give him another entry into that triangle, but I don't know if I'd call that worth.
No, it's a lot of time they spent down as 5. I think you could have gone for this push earlier on with just a couple of years, although...
It doesn't really matter, though. Yeah, Natsumi finds a tide. Easy pick off, and they are going to start rotating to defend the top lane. I suppose Polaris, they feel so confident they just don't care. They'll just let him farm for a bit, give him a false sense of hope, and then shut it all down.
And they're about to hit that major spike here in Lelouch. The Bloodstone's almost up, just lacking that Voodoo Mask. They're going to have a lot more presence coming out from him, and ooh, sneaky Roach.
I mean, it's sneaky. They are making their way over now. Smoke's going to break, surely at the right time, but it's too late. They've got the Aegis. Can they at least snipe Mamang Daya? Not quite. He's out of there. That's another play where I don't think OB.Neon should have been able to get away with that. Narman again with a nice Earth Spike. He might die for this, but it won't matter. And OB.Neon, they are finding little victories here in Polaris. While they are still the stronger team in terms of the game right now, It feels like OB.Neon, they're getting away with a bit too much.
Definitely are. And Polaris has the gun for those tier 2s now. Take out the top tier 2, take out the outpost, completely control the top jungle, cut off Mamangdaya and Palace from farming. Because they are 14-2 at 17.5 minutes, but they're only 2k up. That's not enough. That means you haven't shut down the TA, you haven't shut down the Doom. Sure, it still looks bad for Doom being behind these cores. It doesn't matter. No fights are breaking out. No engagements are coming through to slow down your farm pace. You will still hit the BKB and blink timing that the Doom wants. And you can just go from there. Polaris, they are finally finding the top tier 2, slowly but surely. And they are forcing out the Fortify. The Bloodstone is up and running on Lelouch, so he has the mana sustain to play these fights. But I think Neon's managed to stall out long enough that they're going to be online on this TA. Deso up, BKB next for Mamangdaya. Once you hit that BKB spike, there is nothing from Polaris that handles that TA outside of the Razor with static link.
That's my problem, right? Like, you're going for the top tier 2 now, but the whole point of that is to take the outpost and then go for Roshan. But you've lost that now. You're kind of stuck waiting for the next one. We'll see what they can get done. I mean, at least take the outpost, I guess, deny some XP away and control the area. So it looks like they want to try and force a fight. Split Earth is out, but Palace has rotated. He won't throw the Doom out yet. I think he does want Lelouch, but he's got plenty of backup. So instead, they'll go after Xavius. Mamangdaya there with the Meld Strike, but the Stampede is going to be popped. They should eventually be able to get themselves out. Lelouch will TP immediately. However, Enryu, he's not done yet. He'll TP in for more. He'll get the Treants out with the body blocks. They should find Xavius, and they'll get away with it. In fact, UK now. He still has the Ravage. Won't find the opportunity to get it out there, but again, they still find a pick-off. It just feels like this should not be happening for Polaris.
They should be in control of the map. They should be the ones on the aggressive. Instead of the ones playing really defensively here and being punished for it. Look at their triangle being taken over by Neon. Mamangdaya just runs up, clears out the camps, keeps building up. BKB coming closer and closer here for the TA. And Polaris, they're losing that gold lead. It's down to just 1k, even with a 14-3 kill lead. It's not doing enough. And I think for Polaris, they've got to consider their scaling now. Natsumi, lagging a bit behind in farm, not by much. But the Razor doesn't have an item. He does have the BKB up into the SNY. Now, come late game, we talked about the possibilities with Razor, Mike. Refresh is going to be great. Ags is going to be great. And that takes a lot of farm. And Natsumi is just not farming as fast as the TA or Doom to kind of hit those item spikes early on.
Power Rune going to spawn up at top. Haste Mavis will set it up for his Lelouch or Natsumi, either one. It's like Lelouch will take it for himself. Just go ahead and clear out those waves. What's Dota Plus thinking? I mean, we're less than 1k now. And as you can see, the graphs have dipped quite sharply. Still 70% the way of Polaris, so they're still well and truly in the lead in this game 1. You get a little bit concerned about where this graph is going. But right now, they are still in control as they'll head back towards that top tier 2 tower. With the advantage, you may as well set up and at least take the top tier 2 while you can. Lelouch will get it done. I doubt there's a defense to come out from OB.Neon.
They do have the smoke up though, but it's going to be a bit late in the ramp back. So they're going to be able to take that, take the outpost, control the top jungle, and maybe start eyeing that mid tier 2, maybe start considering the high ground on the next Roche. It's going to be important for Polaris to kind of make ways into the map as we approach the 30 minute. And at that point, 30 minutes in, you're seeing a Doom with BKB Blink, you're seeing a TA with BKB Blink as well, maybe even the build up into Daedalus, which is going to be really strong. You run out of tools here if you're not careful.
Oh, he's going to be fine. Xavius choosing the right spot to TP out. Palos thinking he went to the high ground, but he was still on the low ground, and Xavius will be able to get away. They'll take their outpost back while they're there, though. So OB.Neon still going to acquire their outpost once again. Still, Polaris doing a great job of farming up. Do have an SNY now available on Natsumi, and it seems like they're finally ready to get a big smoke going. If they can get a big team fight, that'll be even more tier 2s. In fact, with this kind of draft, you might even go high ground. But can they get into the triangle? UK, he's in position to break the smoke. Stomp's gonna miss. It won't matter too much. UK will happily die, or maybe not. The Rupture's out.
Oh.
They jumped in, but the cookie, it won't matter. They still got the Doom onto Natsumi. That'll be forced gone immediately, as they are still going down the backside. They got the line, and they got Mamangdaya. Not too bad for Polaris. Natsumi will survive, and Palos is going to get caught out. So it's a big ravage. But Polaris, they still win the team fight. 3 heroes to go down, and that could mean another tier 2 to drop.
That's a big cookie coming out from Xavius. That was the cookie to turn that fight around, because the triple stun as they came in gave an opening for Polaris to fight after Ravage. And cleaning up Mamangdaya early on without him popping his BKB meant that your real damage dealer on that TA, which is your real pause 1, wasn't able to contribute much. And now Polaris finally take back the net victory. 3-4K on their side. OB.Neon, it looked good. The follow-through wasn't quite there. They need to protect Mamangdaya a bit more. He was just a bit too close to action. Got taken out way too quick to leverage that Desolator here.
Mavis scanning out Mamangdaya. He's going to be able to blink away. Here we go though, Stomp is there, Forcey catches him, but Palos, he's going to jump in and try and intercept. Stampede is out, Palos, he's dropping very low, just going down to Lelouch, and he does drop again as Mamangdaya. He's forced a man fight, he'll get Natsumi on the Razor, but he should drop here to Lelouch eventually as he tries to meld, but it will not be enough. So you got that +1 Razor, but Lelouch, he's the big problem right now on this Leshrac. They'll take 2 down, another nice win here for Polaris. That should mean a tier 2 mid tower to drop. In fact, maybe more, as they found UK on the tide now. That'll definitely mean a tier 2 mid tower now as Binga, Narman, close but not close enough.
Yeah, just not finding stacks in the line. Like, if we're 24 minutes in, unfortunately for Narman, not a single finger kill going his way. And that cooldown, it is going lower, but doesn't feel like OB.Neon's managed to play around the gank potential they have with a Doom, with a Finger, with a Ravage, all as much as we expected. And now Polaris, despite that slower start, despite playing a bit more conservative in the early game, have a very big lead now. Their Leshrac is just hitting this huge timing. Lelouch going for the heart next. Already has the Shivas up on top of the Bloodstone. This Leshrac is going to be really hard to melt. Like, he has a protection from the Abaddon. We've seen this be an issue from lane. They don't have enough initial burst to deal with the shield, to deal with a Mist Coil heal, and you are just getting a lot of presence out from Mavius because of that. Neon, they don't have many more items to wait for. Like, the Daedalus from Mamangdaya is going to boost damage. I think they really just need to actually commit BKB and follow through on a kill. If they kill one big hero, they can turn to fight from there.
OB.Neon. They're going to smoke up, they're going to try. Roshan's still down for a minute 30, but they are going to set up for this next Roshan by trying to get a good team fight. Problem is Mavis is ready to break the smoke, and does. He'll turn back around. Still, it is an Abaddon. He does have that borrowed time, and he has backup behind him. Palos, though, is still going forward. BKB is out in time, but maybe you can just wait it out and go for the team fight. Lelouch, he sneaks up from the back with a Diabolic Edict. He's ripping right through Mamangdaya. He'll take down the TA again. UK, he can't Ravage at the moment. There's no backup. He'll just try to escape, but he cannot. Narman to drop to boot. Polaris just outplaying OB.Neon. That next Roshan, it is looking very pretty here for Polaris. Still 45 seconds away, but they are certainly in a position as Enryu now is forced to BKB TP away from Lelouch. Well, this Leshrac, John, he's been a real menace this game. That max Diabolic Edict is just doing too much damage.
Really is. It's a lot of output from Lelouch. And you have to love this combo from Polaris. We talked about this from Draft Mike, but when you've got Razor plus Centaur, it's so easy for Natsumi to just find a big target, static link up, and just get easy kills. And Enryu protected for now with a Sprout, but not for long here.
No, certainly not. There's your static link there before the Orchid came out, so Enryu is going to Sprout up the Razor. It won't matter though. Natsumi picking up his 12th kill of the game. It's been a great game for this POS 1. And again, they're back to control on the map, John. 10k net worth advantage, 24-5. Everything we talked about earlier, apparently just down the toilet now, as well, Polaris, they were always in control.
I think Neon had a bit of an opening. They just couldn't find the right targets. They will try to smoke again. They still have Ravage. They still have Doom. They've got Finger back up. They just need to find that one hero. If they find Lelouch, that could give them a bit of a good bounce back, but they don't commit. And the map is dark for OB.Neon right now. No forward obs wards means smoke plays are very hard to pull off. Meanwhile, the Roche being taken by Polaris, no wards to watch that area either for Neon. So they don't even know the Roche is happening right now.
They certainly don't. Roshan going to be given freely the way of Polaris. Second Roshan of the game, of course, so you have the shard upgrade. Who do we get that over to? I think Lelouch here on the... No, Natsumi will take it himself. Does commit it for himself as well. So shards up on the Razor.
Yeah. It's that Storm Surge with the Reflect back. There's an 18% chance when you attack to have a Lightning Strike and always on Spellcast. So you have a good source of constant slow. It makes it hard to commit onto the Razor, try to run him down. It gives more presence out to Natsumi. Second life out on the Razor as well. Means that you're going to have to kill him twice. He's got the Assault Cuirass up. He's got the SNY up with a BKB. He's very tanky on that Razor. The damage output of Neon's just not there. Unless they focus all their spells on one, it's likely you're not going to kill anyone here.
Jump in, Xavius, he's got the shards up as well. Enryu, he got caught up for a second. They'll try to turn though, Lelouch, he's been caught, but he has the Pulse Nova going, so it doesn't matter. He's just got so much damage, but Palos, he gets out with 35 HP on the Doom. Oh, such a close call. The only person to go down is Narman. Still a pretty back and forth kind of game, but Polaris, in the meantime, are still able to get the bot tier 2 tower, slowly being ticked away here by Natsumi. He won't be able to get the job done, but he's pretty darn close, and he might not back off. He's very strong right now on this Razor.
He's got Aegis AC, so tanky. And the one issue right now for Neon is even if they jump the Lesh, if Stampede is up, with the Ags upgrade, on course, he can't get any kills.
Well, Natsumi, this is a very confident play. He'll be fine though. He still has the Aegis and the BKB. In fact, he'll go back in onto UK, and my god, that's a lot of damage from this Razor. As Mamang Daya now gets caught out. That's a big one. They've lost another 70 seconds without the TA in this game. Is looking very, very over. Polaris, they have well and truly hit the timing. They've blown the timing out the door, John. This is a very dominant game one. I mean, we questioned it about 15 minutes ago, but they always had a game plan and they make it work, it seems. So OB.Neon not tapping out yet, but it's hard to see a comeback now.
It's a toughie. They could try to split push with the NP when he's back up, but I don't think they can make much headway in the side lanes at this point. It just doesn't feel like enough.
Lelouch just so aggressive on this Leshrac as he just keeps going for more. I'll tell you what, so far so good with the name changes here for Polaris, John. Working out very nicely. Especially Lelouch, I mean, he's just been on fire ever since he's changed his name. I suppose it is all part of the grand plan, the master plan here for the Leshrac, as Polaris, they'll keep going for the top tier 3. Narman, he'll jump in with an Earth Spike, but Natsumi could not give a crap. He'll turn back around with the Aegis up, just so confidently, as there are lightning strikes bouncing everywhere. Cookie out onto UK. Palos, he doesn't have the Doom up yet. He's forced the BKB and run. Not great as the Ravage, gonna kick off the 3 heroes, but can they get anyone? Natsumi still not dead with the Aegis up. He's gonna die to a tier 4 tower, but they have completely cleaned up OB.Neon. I think it's about that time. There it is. GG's called OB.Neon. They've seen enough. And Polaris, they've definitely done their homework. Just destroying OB.Neon during this game one. And I'll tell you what, John, they made it look easy. 34-5, 31 minutes in. Just no problem for this Radiant team.
Yeah, Polaris just completely dismantled OB.Neon, and I think we were seeing it in the early days for Neon, like in the earlier part of playoffs, where every time they had the Tide, they were always successful. This time they run the Tide on support instead of on Enryu, and I think that changed the tone. They had these musical lanes go on, Palos lost out and a lot of initial farm, which meant they had to stall out for the Doom a little bit longer, along with the TA. The mid-game timing for Polaris, they kind of slowed down when they had this 14-3 lead. The map was a bit passive, but they take this one good fight, and it just goes back their way. I think for Neon, they had a couple of issues. In lane, they didn't have enough damage to deal with Abaddon. Right, their dual lane with Nature's Prophet Lion just couldn't deal with a Photic Shield and Miscoil on a Razor. Like the Razor just kept standing fine. Because of that early kill to Natsumi, he got early boots, early, I believe, Windlace as well, and he just manages to run around with Static Link. Range wasn't an issue. I think Polaris just came out with this really durable draft with all the damage really hanging on Lelouch for early on and Natsumi as the game scaled on. If you think about it, you have to deal with Abaddon with a Photic Shield, with a Mistcoil, and when he ags up from Force, that damage reduction on Stampede, just you saw it in that last fight. Natsumi was not dying despite 4 heroes clumping onto him.
I'm so sorry to interrupt and change topics, John. I just read the messages that I think you've seen as well. We were talking about it in the draft. Somebody from yesterday has already made an NFT of johnxfire. I'm not going to send the link over, but thank you for making the NFT. I might have to have a look, John, and see what the price is like. But there you go, John. You're an NFT now. Congratulations. All your trash talking has come back to haunt you, sir. Still, we'll head into game number 2 between Polaris and OB.Neon very, very soon. But my God, I'm going to have a very good 10-minute break. We'll see you all again extremely soon.